Hello and welcome to the Overly Animated Podcast, where we take animation seriously. We talk everything animation here, including, finally, Hazbin Hotel, which we'll be getting into right now. I'm Dylan Hysen, and today I'm joined by Michelle Anderer.
Hello.
Sarah Potter.
Hello.
And Sarah Dolman.
Hi.
Yes, Hazbin Hotel is the long-awaited independent series, but we have a pilot, I guess. Pilot for hopefully a series was released finally today, October 28th, after a lot of build-up and clips being released, and we've been looking forward to this show. So we're excited to get into it. We're Overly Animated. We talk about a bunch of animated shows and movies. Find us at overlyanimated.com. Search for us on iTunes by searching for Overly Animated or your podcast app, and find us on YouTube at youtube.com/overlyanimated. The Hazbin Hotel pilot is up on YouTube. Just search for Hazbin Hotel pilot. I think you'll find it. Already 500,000 views as of tonight. That's crazy.
Woo!
It's a very popular show.
How many likes? I think almost 200,000, right?
200.
150,000 likes. Yeah. What do you mean? Wait, what do you mean? How many likes? Is that how Cartoon Network measures the?
No, just saying. It's a lot of likes.
A lot of likes. Yeah, that people like it. Yeah, by physically liking it on YouTube. Hazbin Hotel is created by Vivian Medrano, Vivzy Pop, and Spindle Horse. I think they're it's like an independent production. I'm not like the biggest Hazbin Hotel stan, so I know there's people that follow this a lot more than me, so I don't have all the details memorized. There's people that knew all these characters coming in, so I apologize if we get things wrong in this podcast. I'm very much a casual, but I was looking forward to this anyway, and this is pretty crazy that just this indie team of animators got this 30-minute long pilot out there, and so definitely want to give it its due and get into it. So I guess without further ado, Michelle, what are your reactions to the Hazbin Hotel pilot?
I was a casual on this also. I'd seen like a couple of the scenes released. I'd known about the project for at least a year, maybe a little over, but I was not mentally or emotionally prepared for the gloriousness of the pilot. I'm honestly still like processing. I think because like I've gotten so used to seeing like a certain kind of look of a show for a while now, and this show so wholly looks like its own thing, which is both refreshing and kind of a mental adjustment. I honestly don't think I've ever enjoyed swearing so much for an adult animated thing as this, just because like it's so funny. And everyone's expressions are so all over the place, but like very goofy in like a nice, like contained sort of way. All the characters are really good. The voice acting's really good. I enjoyed all the songs, and like everyone's really hot. And I know it's not like the most important thing, but I was just like, wow, like literally everyone's really hot. And whatever your kink is, you can probably find it in this hell show, and that's great, maybe. A bad tangent. Okay, reeling it in. I think this is an awesome pilot. I mean, clearly a lot of people's blood, sweat, and tears went into this, and it's very hard to make a pilot on your own without a giant network to support you. But with that comes a lot of freedom, and you see a lot of the freedom in the kinds of things they can joke about and the kind of plot they're doing. And it's just like, it feels like such a win for indie creators. Like I hope there's more. I will spend money to make that happen, because this is just like a beautiful thing that exists, and I love it so much.
Awesome. Yeah. I know there's a Patreon for the pilot. I'm not sure if what's going on with the series or anything, but yeah, all the other independent projects too. That'd be fantastic. Okay, and that was a good idea with the background on Hazbin Hotel. So, Sarah P., what's your background and what did you think of the pilot?
Too many Sarahs, but I literally avoided everything for this show. Not because I was like actively was avoiding it, but just because
no spoilers for Hazbin Hotel.
None. Like, all I knew about the show was that, like, I'd seen, like, a couple stills, because that's kind of impossible to not see, like, just, like, maybe a couple screenshots every now and then. But other than the fact that I saw you all just talking about, like, how it just felt like it was taking forever to come out, like, I knew nothing about this show. And I kind of kept it that way on purpose, because, like, I didn't feel very interested in it, and it wasn't out yet, so I didn't want to like chase it. You know what I mean? Like I don't want to get like hyped up for something that wasn't out yet, because just that's not worth it. Like if I don't need to be hyped.
But now that it is out,
now it's out. I watched it immediately. I watched it the first day because it's like it's out. I want to see it, and I'll say it was kind of a trip for the fact that I knew nothing about it going in.
It's probably a lot knowing almost nothing about it.
It was a lot. I'll agree. I think that the second half hit a lot better for me than the first half, knowing nothing about the show going in. Like the part where they're actually in the hotel and it's kind of like what appears to be like the four main characters interacting a bunch. And I really enjoyed that. But the first half was very edgy humor and a lot of crazy stuff. But I did like the songs. I did like the facial expressions and everybody. Like I think there was a lot of fun, like visual ways everyone looked. And I did like the overall style. Like it really played off a lot of the stuff I like about the Star and in that show. Like it feels a lot like that in some ways. But I'm not sure if I like the kind. It feels the humor's hard. Humor is hard, and it won't hit the same for everybody. And it just kind of missed for me. And I don't know if that's just me or if that's the show. Like it's hard to tell this early on. That's all.
Yeah, that's interesting. I definitely want to get into that too. Okay, nice. Sarah D, what are your what's your background in Hazbin Hotel, and what do you think of the pilot?
Yeah, so I was also like fairly casual, but I did watch, I think, all of the clips and songs that had been released, and I was
that means you watched half the episode before it came out, because
I guess. But yeah, no, I was really looking forward to it because I really was hyped for what I had seen of especially Charlie's character. You know, her being super optimistic and wanting to help rehabilitate demons, and of course I really loved her song that had been posted like a year ago from now. And like for the most part, I wasn't disappointed. Like I thought it was fun to watch. Visually, there's so much happening, but it looks so good. I'd probably have to watch it several more times to catch all of the details that they put into it. And I definitely wasn't disappointed by Charlie's character and Vaggie as well, and the relationship. Of course, got that queer representation, gotta love it. And yes. How they balance each other out was really great. They're dynamic. There was stuff I wasn't so crazy about, like the turf war stuff. I also like the humor was also pretty hit and miss for me, so I agree with Sarah about that. And you know, Alastor is so sketchy. I thought Angel Dust like was funny at times, but also really just a creep. But overall, with all those thoughts in mind, I thought the pilot sets out a really interesting premise, and then, you know, like 3 years from now, when we see more of the show, I'm sure that I'll check it out. And I loved the music too.
I'm absolutely stunned that you like Charlie. Like that's completely not
totally out of character for me.
Wow, 3 years from now, I think is the best case scenario for getting. I would just be happy if we ever got the rest of the show. I know of no current plans for, but they have to have a studio pick it up, right? Like they can't just indie produce the rest of the show. But
so just appear out of thin air.
Yeah, I mean,
but this pilot sort of did.
So that's one of the 10 streaming services absolutely should. I mean, it's like perfect, I feel like, for what something. Anyway, this pilot was a lot. I think that was the main reaction on first viewing. This was hard to follow the first time. I don't know, like I'd seen all the clips too, and I like just didn't. I'd only seen them once, except for the Inside of Redeems a Rainbow, which I saw like 20 times, which is amazing. But this is like too much stuff for a pilot, but obviously I understand why there's so much, because this is like the only thing they got. It's like one episode order, so you're gonna put a bunch of stuff in here. Second viewing, it worked a lot better. Like there was things just made more sense once you knew to expect a ton of characters and everything kind of happening very quickly after one another. The biggest thing I think that stands out to me is how just like visually stunning the show is. Really impressed with the animation on this. It's very like bright and colorful, which helps it pop more. That kind of style is easier to... It's like easier for that type of style to pop, but I think it was really incredible. Honestly, this might be the thing all year I'm the most impressed by visually. There's like 5 sequences in here I think are amazing. And that's like my big takeaway. That's number one for me. I also really love Charlie and Vaggie's relationship. I think there was not enough of that. I wanted more of that, but they were still really good. Even though he's not my type of character, I think Alastor does end up stealing the show here. I think he's probably the character that pops the most.
I agree.
That seems to be what the comments on YouTube also say.
Everyone
I
loves
really
Alastor.
like Angel Dust also, though, I will say. He's awful, but he's also kind of great.
I think the problem with not problem, sorry. The thing with the show is that all the characters are very, very, what's the word? You either like them or you love them, but it's every single character is like that, I think.
What do you mean by that?
Like Alastor, like I okay. Angel Dust, I really, really didn't like, but then Michelle said you really liked Angel Dust.
Mm-hmm.
You hate him or you love him. Yeah. Angel Dust didn't pop for me either, but I can totally see people.
And I think a lot of characters, other than I think like Charlie and Vaggie, like they're like clearly like the most nice people in this world. But everyone else is really just like, I don't know. It's either I either hate a character or I love them, and it's just very little in between of that.
Yeah. The big personalities here. I would argue, except for Vaggie, honestly, I'd argue. But a lot of characters meant to pop. Alastor's the type of character fans love, like the bad boy, the pretty bad boy guy. But he's it's just the animation you get with him and the sound design with his voice are really amazing. And also the humor was, I also didn't super hit for me. Worked better second time. It's too fast. Sometimes the show is very edgy, and those parts work the least for me. That's what I'll say.
I think when it's moving so fast because it's a pilot, and they only have this.
Yeah. I think if it's a series, they need to slow down. But that being said, second viewing, some jokes hit some more. But yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to like here. There's even elements I like that we haven't talked about yet. So how about we get into some more stuff that each of us like? Michelle, like is there one thing that kind of popped for you the most? A scene, a character, a song, maybe?
I don't want to say it because it's the most obvious thing.
What is it?
The line that's
Okay, Michelle, I want to know what you think is the most obvious thing that you would love.
So it's a lie. Is a joke? What is it?
It's when Angel Dust is fighting Serpentius. He gets wrapped up in the chain, and Angel's like, "Oh, Daddy!" And Serpentius like hesitates and like looks at him with sincerity, and is like, "Son!" And then Angel Dust is like, "Wait, no, what? You're really too much into this." It's just such a good comic moment. I love it a lot. And also when the assistant to Kata Killjoy, the news reporter lady, he was like, "Oh yeah, I know Angel Dust. He's that like pimp." And she's like, "You would, Tom." And it's just like, oh, it's got these really snappy, quick jokes, and they're very funny. And I'm not used to seeing this kind of humor, and I just love it a lot because it is just very refreshing. And it's not like being adult for the sake of being adult, and that's kind of really nice too, because there are some like adult animated shows that are just like, yeah, let's just swear a bunch because we can, but like this show is like exists in hell. There's a reason why everyone's like this.
That's true.
Characters. It's like I buy into it way more and it works better, so I'm like honestly enjoying it a lot.
Okay, nice. I feel like you may be also saying like the humor overall is a highlight for you. That's good. Yeah. Nice. I think that's one of the most notable lines for sure. So glad Michelle's into that one. Sarah P, how about you? What's an element that popped the most for you?
I think the animation for me really popped for me, and specifically, I really liked how there was a lot of willingness to do unique stuff when it fit. Like, I think one of the most obvious ones is when Alastor had this, like, kind of corrupted effect. Like, there were runes flying around. Like, and the screen would actually, like, glitch about when he was getting to this evil voice thing. And I think that's just so cool. And, again, something you can't do outside of animation. And it's just, I don't know, it gets across what they want to get across in a way that's very difficult, in a way that feels believable outside of this medium. And I really liked it a lot. It's just very, very cool.
Nice. Definitely want to get more into Alastor as well. Sarah D, how about you? What's an element that stood out the most?
I would go with the music. I'd already heard the Every Demon is a Rainbow. It's so catchy, and the sequence is just incredible, so fast moving. And like the Charlie's voice actress, like, is such a great singer and voice actress. And also I really loved like the opening one. It's just like, a little Disney princess number. Cause, I love Disney, and so I loved, I loved that element to it. But also showed so much vulnerability for a character. I thought it was a really great way to open the episode. And then Alastor's number was sort of bringing the song back. I thought it was really cool, with a twist, and the animation in that sequence was really cool as well.
Nice. Yeah, definitely the songs I a bunch of the voice actors, I think, have separate singing and speaking voice actors. I think Charlie's one of them. Both Charlies are really fantastic. Yeah, I really like all three of the songs too. Love Alastor spinning off of Charlie's big number at the end. That was unexpected, I think, highlight for me. Okay, I'll give a small one as my highlight. The Egg Boys.
Egg Boys. Yes.
Surprised Michelle didn't love the Egg Boys.
Do you want do you want Sir Pentius to shoot you?
Yeah. Their voice is just really good. Michelle, I feel like it's like Boxman and the Minions. I feel like
Why did these guys go to hell?
The Egg Boys.
Why are the Egg Boys in hell? They're so sweet.
Oh, they are really sweet, and they love. I mean, Sir Pentius totally has like a Boxman vibe. He's kind of an incompetent villain who like thinks he's really cool, but then like Alastor doesn't even know who he is. So that really puts. Like,
I think he knows who he is. I think he was just.
Yeah, no,
cool.
he's definitely playing.
He's a desperate snake boy trying to be a baddie up in hell, which is probably hard to do because everyone's already bad there. So like,
how do you stand out?
How do you stand out with that? So Sir Pentius, like, maybe he'll figure this stuff out a little better, but he's like a petty villain, and I like that.
Yeah, especially the Egg Boys. They're also brought in the Stinger. I think they're aware of how good they are. I feel like the Stinger was unnecessary, but I was happy to see one more Egg Boy one more time.
You really like the Egg Boys.
Look, I wanted to point. They haven't been mentioned yet. I think they deserve their due here.
They do.
Okay.
The fetuses need help.
Yeah. Okay. What's other? I want to go through the parts I really some other parts I really liked. Charlie. Well, we can get into the characters then. This will allow us to get in there. Let's talk about Charlie. I think Charlie has a lot of parts other than her big number that aren't really flashy that stood out to me is on her, especially her phone call with her leaving a voicemail for her mom. I really like that scene. Also her introductory song, I think, is really good. It's just jam-packed, so it's like, is there enough room for their main character? And I think there's kind of just enough here with Charlie. Sarah, did you have other thoughts on...
Which Sarah?
Sarah, did you have other thoughts on Charlie that we haven't got into?
Well, like what I wrote down about Charlie is that she's like a Disney princess who's stuck in hell and just kind of wants to make everything bright and rainbows. I think her optimism is such a shining bright light in like otherwise this really sort of edgy, creepy hellscape, literally. And I really love how she wants to make a difference, but in her way. But she's dealing with so much vulnerability. She's clearly expected by her parents to be a leader. She's the next in line for the throne, or coming up in line. And she seems to have this really complicated relationship with her parents. I also really loved that phone call, and she seems to be dealing with a lot with what her parents expect of her, and this disconnection with her mom who's not responding to her phone calls, and how her dad seems to not really
believe in her
very
at
much.
all.
Right, like that could take such a toll on you, and clearly that really comes through. So she's going through a lot, but what I also really loved is that she doesn't take any shit. She still stand up for herself. She stood up to, was it Katie Killjoy, the reporter? She's like, bitch, I'm gonna take your pen.
And she fought her.
Yeah, and they just fist fought. And of course she didn't take Alastor's deal. She knew the line that she was gonna draw. So I thought that even though there was so much happening in this pilot, I thought her character really shone in this episode.
Nice. Yeah, I think there's just enough there, but I'd still like to see more of Charlie, like more a little bit more character focus heading forward. And especially I'd like to see more of Charlie and Vaggie, I think, together.
Yeah.
Vaggie's a character that is in a lot of scenes and talks a lot. I'm not sure I got too much of a read on who she is though. Anyone a big Vaggie? By the way, I thought she was Vaggie for a while.
I thought she
Vaggie's
was
a great
Vaggie
name,
because
too.
the way they pronounced it.
Yeah, so
I
it is
misheard
Vaggie
it.
though. Yeah.
No,
It's
yeah.
pretty, yeah.
I get it
okay.
now.
Yeah, but anyone a big Vaggie stan after the episode?
I guess I liked her a lot. Like
Yeah.
she played a very good straight man through the whole show.
Yeah, she
through the
was
whole-
she was very much a straight man. Yeah.
and that works really well as a part, like not just as like a love interest to Charlie, but like as a comedic partner to Charlie. Like it works really well when Charlie gets all excited about this picture she drew of rainbows, and Vaggie's just like, maybe don't do this, maybe don't. And it's just it plays really well just because of the way they are and the way the voice actors act, how good the voice actors are is what I'm trying to say. It plays really well. But I do think that if there's a series of like this actually gets a series, which I do think, I hope it does, we need to see how they met, because I think that plays into why Vaggie's here, because there's a reason why she's the only other demon that really believes in Charlie. Like there must be.
Yeah, we need to learn about that. There's Vaggie. It's how did she get to where she is in the show? I'd like to see her maybe more than a straight man. She has some. I liked her telling Alastor's backstory. I think that's one of the best scenes. So I think she's good at that. I don't know. I think her with Angel Dust in like the limo, that was one of the low points for me. But I don't know. I like that she gets mad and she's sticking up for everything. Her and Charlie. So they've kind of like have two scenes, I guess. One is before she's gonna go on the news show, and we get I think Vaggie calls her Hun, or Charlie. Yeah, so I think that's a highlight. And then like in terms of referencing them as a couple, Katie's like, I don't touch the gays. So that's what we get with the two of them. Also, they're just very touchy and stuff. So definitely was hoping they would kiss in the episode. I guess it's episode 1. I think it's very unique that it's a relationship. They're already together going into the show. That's like, not sure I've seen like a queer couple on TV like that in a long time.
Unless they were like married with a child already.
Yeah, like this is just like teens dating. Like this is, or I don't know how old they are, young adults.
They could be hundreds of years.
Literally,
they look
what
young.
is age in the show? But I guess Charlie's like a normal person, and then what species is anyone? They're all like
Just
animal
demons.
people. Like,
I think
those are-
Charlie's legit a demon. I think Vaggie
Everyone else
and
is immortal.
Angel
But
Dust.
like, what does that mean? Okay, they have a lot of questions about mythology,
Okay.
but like, they're all humans that like turned into demons went out, except
Not
for
Charlie.
but
Yeah,
not Charlie. But what does that mean that she's a demon? You know, like I don't understand. Okay,
Charlie was
His
born like
powers.
of the guy who owns hell, like who runs hell. So she was born
Yeah,
here.
but what is he? Is he Satan? You know, like
Like he might be Satan or something. But the point is that she didn't like commit sin on like in her life.
That's and I like that perspective. It's like someone who isn't there because they isn't in hell because they like or deserve to be there. I know there's a lot of the questions I'm asking have answers from auxiliary material, but we're just talking from the show.
Oh,
like,
I don't know
episode's
any of this,
perspective,
so
I don't know either.
yeah, I've heard that there are some answers. Anyway, I love the two of them together, but definitely that was one of the things I was left wanting the most after the episode is to see the two of them more together.
Yes, gay.
Yeah, because gay, but this gets good. Okay. How about Angel Dust, Michelle? You're definitely the biggest Angel Dust stan. He is a porn star / hooker / just
all of the above.
turf warrior. Like, yeah.
But he was helping a friend. He was helping Cherry Bomb. I don't think he cares.
So you don't
about
think
the
that's what he
career.
normally does?
No, that's what friends do. They help each other.
Okay.
He owed her a favor.
Okay.
A murderous favor.
What's good about
Yeah.
Angel Dust?
He has an amazing voice. He has a fascinating character design. I like that he is both very effeminate and extremely sexual. I don't see that a lot and it's kind of great. He's such a dick, but I kind of don't mind because I'm just like here for it. I'm here for his whole thing he's got going on. So like he can say shitty things to anyone, and I'm not going to care that much yet. Even though sometimes I like gasp a little, like, oh, like, you know, I'm ready for Angel Dust to just be terrible, because like at least like there's a line between like wherever Angel Dust is and where Alastor clearly is. So I don't think he's quite as bad as Alastor, but he's still like kind of really terrible. But again, he's like forsaken to hell for the rest of eternity, so like it's not a surprise.
Yeah, I guess they're all terrible, so.
Yeah, they're all terrible, except for Charlie.
But this seems to also, I also think we should remember that this seems to follow, like, Christian hell rules. Like they imply that alcohol by itself is a sin. Like,
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, like, being a good person being a bad person sends you to hell. It's that, like, you follow specific rules. It's like Good Place rules. Like, it's like you have to do specific things.
I did think of Good Place, yeah.
Yeah, I thought of this too.
I was glad the pilot leaned off of the demon mythology to a certain extent. I don't know. I feel like I've seen that in a lot of shows recently. But it was more of just like a thematic device, I guess.
Oh, yeah, it's thematic, but I think they mention
it, yeah.
And I think that's important to mention, like, just because these people have been told they're bad and that's why they're blah, blah, blah. Like, that's probably what's going to be, like, the main theme here. Like, they've been told they're bad because they're doing X things, so they think they're bad, so they act bad. They're like, blah.
Does really seem like Charlie is Michael in The Good Place, just wants a demon who wants to help get all the humans to the good brae. Like,
yeah.
I guess
she is a demon.
But can I say something about Angel Dust? Because I really, really don't like him.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Because he's just like a huge, huge stereotype, and I don't like it. Like, he's just that, like, effeminate gay, like, trope, and that is a very common trope, this sexual effeminate gay person, and I don't know if I like it. Like, I think that Angel Dust is his own character, and that's fine, but, like, it does kind of rub me the wrong way, the things I see some of the times he's doing this. Like his entire character is, I'm gay and I want to fuck people. Like, that's his entire character in this thing.
Yeah, should mention that he is with a guy at the beginning.
And he only ever makes advances with other male characters. Yeah.
It's. I'm not saying like this is in of itself bad. It's just it does play into a stereotype I'm very familiar with, and it does feel a little bad in that way. It's hard for me to look past that. That's all.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think it's just the pilot, so there's room to build on this. I think is a unique element to Angel Dust in that regard, which is I think he's more androgynous / non-gender conforming than the stereotype, I guess. Like, I don't know. I feel like he's femininely presented, and that's different. That's like not like in a way that's not exactly the same.
Yeah, he's not like doing like any lisps or stuff like that. Like, he's effeminate in a different way than the normal stereotype that the normal trope is. But and I definitely like when I first when the show starts on him essentially after the first song, and I definitely was not sure of like what gender we're supposed to think he is.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I didn't read it as he was just like an effeminate gay guy. I feel like I almost read him as not non-binary.
And I kind of wish they did that, because it seems like they made a character like that.
Yeah, and they also had that little nifty demon think that like he was a woman. So like we don't really know.
Joke, and I don't know if I like that.
Yeah.
Like they made
gender, and I want to. I mean, we don't get into too much, but gender in this pilot. Yeah, when Nifty gets introduced, all she talks about is gender.
It makes me a little. The way that the relationship with gender in this thing is a little bit strange, considering the rest of the elements of this show. It's a little bit, it feels like it tries to be progressive at points, but then it kind of just misses the mark when they land a joke.
I think it doesn't help with this with these progressive elements, because they're also just making edgy jokes like the whole time. And I think Michelle said that the show has reason to be edgy because it's in hell, which I think is a good point. I do think they do try a little hard to be edgy at certain times. There's this one joke with Vaggie. It's like, was that racist or sexist or both? You know, like, and I think there's a few of those elements. I think people find those appealing. For me personally, that's not as much my type of thing. So I don't, not necessarily saying it's purely a bad thing, just more of your mileage may vary. But it does gray the morality, you know, like I think it maybe leads to things potentially being interpreted in different ways. I certainly wasn't enamored initially with how the pilot handled gender in general.
It's like, if you're it makes it hard to know what the show takes seriously if it's joking about everything.
And it is trying to joke about everything and take everything lightly. So yeah, I agree with that. Like and I think it finds a way to sell the queer rep like as legitimate. But everything else, I'm not so sure.
Like here's the thing. Like the jokes they make about like Vaggie and Charlie's relationship, like the "I don't touch the gays" joke, is like clearly a joke that at least validates that they are having a relationship that is gay. Like it's a joke about it. It's more a joke about these people that hate gay people than a joke about them being gay. Like, but these gender jokes about like him, like them assuming Angel Dust is a woman, like Nifty assuming Angel Dust is a woman, is just like purely a presentational thing. Like this person's effeminate, they're a woman, and like it's a joke about that, and it's just really strange to me. Like with how the direction of queer joking is before this. Like, they clearly don't come from the same angle for the gender jokes, which is strange.
Yeah, I think that's how it comes across to me, too. I don't think it's the intent, so I think that in a full series, they could rectify that more. Yeah.
I'm not saying it's an easy thing to do, because humor's hard, but
it comes across that way. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that the issue is that with, like, gender is just so difficult. It's just like you need to like put it like you need very specific like people to like look at it and be like, okay, you're making fun of the wrong thing here, because so many people just don't think about it like as deep. Like I need to stop and remember like people don't think about it the same way I do in any way, like to the extent I do a lot of the times. And like you just don't realize that people just don't think about it, and they think this is a joke, and they think this is okay, and they don't realize that they are perpetuating a lot of transphobic and a lot of just heteronormative like ideas just by jokes like this, and it's just really shitty.
Yeah, in general, but and that's definitely something we'd be looking for improvement in a full series. But yeah,
and again, I'm not saying like I'm not attacking the show. I'm just saying like this is like the type of thing that a lot of shows miss out on.
But yeah, you're saying it's like the type of thing.
Yeah, like this type of thing that just perpetuates it, because it's just like it's so easy to make this mistake because it is just the natural thing to do.
Yeah, I think those are great points. Yeah, we can see if any other characters talking about bringing that up. I mean, we mentioned Nifty, we'll get to her in a second, but how about Alastor, the radio demon? Who's the biggest Alastor stan? I don't know.
It might be you.
It might be me. Wow,
it might be me, but I just talked a lot, so I'm okay.
Okay, I'll talk about Alastor. This isn't like a type of character that I'm in love with. I think the show just sells him so hard in the presentation, the animation, and it's I think the visuals stand out a lot more than the sound on this show. But the one sound, other than the songs, but the one sound aspect that really I think is great is his voice. It's like radio effect over his voice. I think it's very effective. And that combined with the kind of horror presentation of him, and also just they just go kind of nuts in a few scenes with him. His backstory scene is one of my favorites. And his song is him riffing on Charlie's song, I think is another one of my favorites. So that's just the visual presentation I doubt they could keep it up with that with him for a full series. And that's generally about the whole pilot too. I doubt they could keep this high level of visuals up. So I think that's something that they would, and that it's worth it to get more episodes, but so I wonder if he would pop as much without the crazy visuals, but at least in the pilot, it was incredible, I think.
Yeah, and I really liked the going off that, I really liked the audio stuff with there's always seeing there's an audience in his microphone too. There would be crowd, it wasn't ever really distracting or too loud, but it was there. It was present when he was talking.
Yeah, that's a good point. So Alastor is going to help them. He renames the Happy Hotel to the Hazbin Hotel. And I don't think is a word. I don't know what he's
has been.
Have you never
it's a pun on has been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
not
been
spelled that way.
But they don't make it a joke in the show. It's it just happens anyway. So he gives them the staff, and he's gonna to help the project just for his entertainment. Do we trust Alastor?
I mean, no.
Obviously not.
He's off. The way he's been described by Vaggie, it's Yeah, he was a human. He came in, messed up all the demons who were already in hell, took over, and then radio broadcasted every terrible thing he was doing. I mean, that's as sketchy as you can be in hell, and that's who he is. So
Yeah,
you trust him?
I think it's a unique take. Usually this character would be like ambiguous. It's like, oh, can we try? But this is like, oh, here's the most evil guy. He's helping us. I think that's the show's take on that type of thing.
You know what he reminds me of, Dylan? He reminds me of Toffee a lot.
That's high praise, but
Like, you know, I mean, like he feels that archetype.
yeah, I think Toffee was more ambiguous at first.
At first, this guy's
but you're
not
right. He's like he's all the kind. I see him as like all business, like Toffee. Yeah, there's a lot of star simulators. I think just because Charlie's very Star from Star vs. Force of Evil. This is like Star vs. Force Evil in hell, but for adults.
This is Star vs. Force of Evil if Star was allowed to say fuck.
Yeah, exactly. It's just allowed to say bitch. Yeah, there you go. That's I think that's a good comparison with Charlie, but I like the Toffee comparison with Alastor as well. We talked a little bit about Sir Pentius already, and it's like, oh, is he a one episode villain? No, he's alive at the end. That's fine.
And he may or may not have a son. I mean, honestly, like
it seems like he has a son he doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully finds him. Yeah. Okay.
Like a really emotionally moving arc for this.
Follow up on that
like
one
Angel that just actually happens to be his son.
That would actually be really funny.
That'd be amazing.
I would actually want to see that now. Okay. I don't have a lot of thoughts about Sir Pentius. I just most love his interactions as boss of the Egg Boys. And another character I don't have a lot of thoughts about, Cherry Bomb.
I have literally zero.
Cherry Bomb. She's tough girl. She has bombs as her weapon.
I was sure you were going to say she's hot. Like, I was sure that's what you were going to say.
I mean, she is hot. Everyone's hot in this show. I mean, come on. I said it before.
I think Michelle said the two things about her.
But also, I don't know, she reminds me of, like, a certain kind of, like, bad girl who's kind of punk that feels very 90s to me. Kind of like Tank Girl, if any of you ever read the Tank Girl comics. But she's, like, I like her, and I like her relationship with Angel Dust because they're both just kind of like these bad people doing this stuff they shouldn't be doing. But again, they're in hell, and I don't know, they vibe with each other in a platonic way. And even with bad people, I still kind of like that.
Yeah, that was the one aspect I could latch onto with Cherry Bomb, is she has some backstory with Angel Dust. I think that's potentially pretty interesting. Other than that, I think you didn't really need her in this pilot. There's a few aspects. It's like, we didn't really need this if this was going to be like cut down to 23, you know, like we could cut out her scenes and stuff, but she's a really cool design at least.
I think Serpentius is the same way for me. Like
I think you maybe didn't need as much Serpentius. We got like long intro scenes for Angel Dust and Serpentius, and it's like, okay, let's move on with this. Yeah. But I don't know. I think Serpentius at least is involved in the climax of that episode and stuff.
I think you can have the ending of this episode, like Serpentius showing up and getting beat, without ever needing any context for him. You just have to know he's like a villain who thinks he's like, or like he's a demon that thinks he's hot stuff, and then he gets sent.
I don't mind spending more time with him though. And again, like if we don't know if this is going to get more of a show or not proper, I think it's fair to try to put in as many characters you would imagine would be pretty important to a series, to give them some breathing room, to give people an audience an idea of their whole thing.
Yeah, we're used to critiquing like network shows, and a lot of my reaction to this was like, okay, here are the parts I would cut, like playing script out.
Right.
And it's like that's not that's not what this is.
It has a different goal.
Right. Yeah. So I like. If we're gonna cut stuff, but there's no need. You could have made this longer. It's fine.
I think, but I mean, like, I think there might, like, I guess, yeah. Like, I just don't know how you market a pilot, but I just mean, like, I think there is easily a first episode of a show here. You just have to edit it a little differently, is what I'm saying. Like, I think.
I will say, I came in expecting this to be more of a mess, and.
Why did you say that?
Well, it's just like this indie project they've been working on for so long. Like, obviously, they're just going to cram everything in. It's not going to be a real episode. This was like a legit pilot. Like, I think this like legitimately can work as a pilot for a series. So I was really impressed with that.
But that's why I think I like this.
Yeah, I mean, again, they've been working on it a long time, which means they've been finessing it for a long time.
The two
This
sides
is
of the
no
coin
rush
here. Like,
to
either
go.
you get a lot of time to make it better, or you have a lot of time to not make it not as tight. But
that's why I like the second half so much. It's just the second half is really tight. Like, it's just like you're in the hotel and that's it, and it's just characters interacting with each other, and there's not like a lot of like craziness happening other than dealing with how the characters.
I think there's some stuff in the second half, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, I generally agree. There's some intro scenes and stuff, but as much, I do have criticisms of like it's too much being in here. Obviously, I understand why it is in here. That being said, I think this 95% legitimately works as a pilot, which is like very impressive. That accomplishing that like without network backing. Here's parts I think you could cut. Husk and Nifty, the introduction of the two new people at the hotel, which don't do anything quite yet. But we got their intros. People seem to like Husk.
Why?
Because he's so jaded. He doesn't want any of this shit, but he has to be here anyway, and I kind of love it.
He's just Crow, Dylan.
I don't know who that is.
But he's a dog, so it's cool. Like, he's like an animal, so...
He's an alcoholic, gambling, tired old man, and I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so that's Husk. And Nifty, cool design. Don't really... She just comes in talking about men and women, but...
Yeah.
That was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Nifty, I was really excited for her design, and then I'm like, oh, please shut up.
talking.
Please shut up.
I agree with that. Yeah, I feel like we could have pushed the intros, but it's like, oh, here's the crew, so that's fine. And we didn't.
I just wish they'd started with Charlie instead of with like they introduced people like kind of randomly. Like that's what
they do. In the beginning they go to Angel Dust and Serpentius and stuff. Anyway, we have Charlie's intro number, which I think.
But I mean, like that's I didn't really like include that. Like it's just like a separate object. Like in terms of
it seems a little separate as different design in the beginning. How about Katie Killjoy and Tom Trench? We've talked about them a little bit. The news anchors. That they were pretty funny. Yeah,
they were fine.
They were.
Katie Killjoy was, I think, more fun, but she also had more lines.
She had a lot more lines. She was more of a presence.
Yeah, Tom gets shit on. So
like that. Whenever Katie moves, she sounds like a skeleton whose bones are cracking all the time, which I kind of like because it sells the spookiness of this underworld.
Yeah, was this good to release this, Michelle, 3 days before Halloween?
I think so, because then the momentum builds till the penultimate day. Yeah.
And I think...
What? Okay.
It's also hard not to separate this from, like, obviously what they're trying to riff on with this. Like, Dylan, we saw this in Young Justice with, like, Godfrey or whatever his name was. Like, this is, like, even less subtle than that.
Is this Morning Joe of this world? Is this
I'm thinking it's more like just Fox and Friends. Like this is just like
Fox and Friends. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, they're just like shitting on each other constantly instead of pretending to be friends, though.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, everyone's terrible to each other. I guess that's the shtick. Also, I really like the that was shit guy after.
Yeah,
so he said, "Wow,
Charlie's dreams."
It's great. Going over the songs. Yeah, we talked about every Demon's a Rainbow and Alastor's Reprise. I'm always chasing rainbows in the beginning. Too. I think we talked about that as well. I think all three are really
that
good.
was to me, considering I knew nothing about this show.
What?
It was really confusing, Dylan, because I just turned on the episode and just starts with the song.
It's also like, oh, this be a musical the entire time? No, not really.
No.
Sometimes.
Like, I had no idea what to expect going into this show, and it just starts with this slow...
It starts kind of like the Steven Universe movie, and then it's, like, very different, yeah.
Yeah, it's very not what I was...
And then takes a turn.
Yeah, I think in general, the musical parts worked really well for me. The visually creative parts worked really well. And then there's some just talking parts, which maybe didn't work as well for me. But, of course, there's the other stuff, too. But I think, I don't know. Is it going to be would it be a musical all the time as a series? I think that'd be cool if there's just a lot of songs.
Yes.
There's just a lot of elements here, and I don't know how they make this like a consistent show while doing all these elements. Like I feel like something has to like drift in order to get this as a possible thing they can produce.
Yeah, I do think it's too much, but
I'd love if they did everything.
You can go in a lot of directions from this. Like, this is a good display of a lot of potential, but it would have to be narrowed, I think, in terms of characters, plot focus. I mean, there see a lot of plot itself focus, but like elements, You know,
Mythology.
I
Are
don't
we
even
gonna
know
get
about
into
mythology. Just focus on
Is it-
Charlie.
Yeah.
I do think the pilot made a good choice of focusing on the characters. You know, I don't know anything about the mythology really. I mean, they have a cleansing,
The purge
and
every year.
They have a purge every year. I think I read it's by heaven, but the episode doesn't even say that. And it's like, yeah.
Oh.
So,
Well,
I guess-
that's
there's-
really concerning then.
Oh, no, that makes sense because the opening song shows like angels killing a bunch of people, so that's what that was.
Yeah, and there's maybe like one line about, I don't know, but there's a lot of I didn't even know it was like these people were like former humans, except for like one line into the episode. So they definitely don't hold your hand through the mythology of it, which is why I think it works better second viewing. Things kind of click easier. Anyway, Michelle, other things we haven't talked about or final thoughts on the Hazbin Hotel pilot?
I get that it feels a little messy, but I kind of don't mind it because I was 100% engaged the whole time for half an hour. And I just I love the voice cast. I love the animation. I do think a lot of the jokes landed for me. And I do want to see more. I think this is a very particular project we have here, but it's like, it's honestly hard to compare it to a lot of other things, and I really like that about it anyway. And yeah, it's an indie thing. I think it should be allowed to just kind of play outside of the network box for a while and see what it wants to do on its own accord, not having to please any executives. Like, that's kind of a rare thing, and I want to give them like a little space to do that before I criticize them too much.
It's a good point. We talk a lot on this podcast about how network execs ruin a lot of things, and
we're not covering any shows that aren't network shows. Like,
really,
honest,
it is basically impossible to, I would say literally impossible to make a animated series without the backing of a major studio. I mean, I think like Dragon Prince is the closest thing to an indie studio making a show. They have like Netflix backing to a certain extent. This is very refreshing, I think. Like, I think like in some ways this is like, oh, they aren't backed by they don't have to constrain themselves to anything. But in other ways, it's like, oh, then why couldn't we have had a bunch of queer kisses in this first episode? You know, like if it's not like restrained, I feel like it could have been even more unrestrained. But like, you know, it'd be amazing if this could be a series without backing. I don't think it's possible, but like, things would be much better if we had a different system for these, you know, like if this is a good argument for crowdfunding, I think, like if this could be a crowdfunded series. I do think it's like the pipeline animation to pipeline developments very unfriendly to indie shows just by necessity of the medium, and this is very refreshing to see something different. Sarah P, final thoughts, Hazbin Hotel pilot.
I should stop talking because I'm already trying to figure out how to talk about Transformers and reference it, so yeah.
No, please no.
Don't see how you'd connect
When will Alastor say, what's shaken?
Yeah, exactly. Like, when will the 80s song start
Don't
playing?
Understand that without reference.
I don't understand that either. You're not
alone. No, Sarah's got you. Don't
worry. You're referencing a podcast that never came out. So
yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Okay.
So we're referencing a movie that you guys need to see because it's an amazing movie.
See. Okay. Sarah, do you final thoughts on Hazbin Hotel?
I found it clicked better on second viewing. I felt like the jokes made a little more sense and things flowed a bit better. Overall, it was fun, and I really hope to see more.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think Sarah and I watched it. We're like, what? After the
yeah, we're just like, okay, that happened.
Okay, that's exactly what happened with me and Kate. Kate and I looked at each other. We're like, that was something.
Really wasn't a lot of reaction there it's like. But okay, it's better breaking it down and watching it again, and it was a lot of fun. I'm definitely gonna rewatch this in the future, and absolutely would love to see a full series of this. Any criticisms aside, like this would be top of my list to see as a new show moving forward.
Still a good pilot. It's just
Also, like pilots are hard to make, and this is like has a lot of pros. Like, I mean, you know, it's also like been in development for forever, but like it's, you know, like there's a lot of good things about this, and first episodes are very hard.
Yeah.
So a lot of these criticisms would apply to a lot of pilots as well. Okay, there you go. Let us know what you thought of the Hazbin Hotel pilot on our website, overlyanimated.com, on the YouTube comments at youtube.com/overlyanimated, on our Discord, overlyanimated.com/Discord. We've been talking about this in the NSFW general channel. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other Hazbin Hotel pods we could get out of this. We could revisit it in a little bit. I assume there won't be new content, but...
I mean, there might be another 30-second clip for you all to talk about.
Maybe there'll be more clips coming out, yeah. Finally, all the clips came together. Okay. Consider supporting us on Patreon at patreon.com/overlyanimated. Thanks to all our current patrons, especially our patron of the podcast, Hugh, aka Hugh Neutron, and thanks to our star patron, executive producers Ryan, Steve, Alex, Patrons, Hugh, Michael, and Needle. Also, special shout out to Needle, big Hazbin Hotel stan.
Oh, really? I got to talk to him.
Big Charlie Stan.
Big Charlie stan. Yeah, let's go on Discord, talk to Needle about Hazbin Hotel.
Everyone talk to Needle. He'll love it.
Of course, the best part of Discord, right? And then that's it. Check out our other. We cover a bunch of animated shows at overlyanimated.com. We have recently talking about BoJack stuff, and new season came out. And also, She-Ra is coming up as well.
Yay!
And Ruby. So find all that at overlyanimated.com. Thanks for listening, guys. We will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Shaking.